All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Thursday, April 20th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to have all of our students and members alike inside our live trading room. Perhaps still sticking with us here. I know Sydney just left a moment ago. He made his day's pay and dipped out. Had Sam with us here just before. Michael, if you're here inside the trading room, just give me a quick chat back if you could hear me loud and clear. And then for all of us in social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works, should be good to go there as well. All right, there we go. We got Ravina and Wendy still with us here, and Phil. Any word about Grant? Not just yet, Phil, but I was speaking to him yesterday, of course, in preparation for today, and really the last couple of weeks. So obviously, I'm really wishing him well and his whole family. So I'm hoping to get word, perhaps maybe in a few days. I want to give him some space, of course. So we are all wishing Grant well. Perhaps he may be tuning in right now, or family. So certainly wishing him the best and extending that to his family as well. So. Hey, great to have Ron and Bobby with us here, though. And for right now, be careful here on AUGX. We're going to start off with the stock on the screen here to begin. It is up big still, but just before, as you could see, nasty shake. I have my stop set right under 3, which will take me out with a small profit on the second half of my position. I'm in from 290. It looks like it's about a blow. Yep. All right, well, I was kind of writing it was on the wall for this one, just once it pulled back under the VWAP price. But at this point now, we're going to write this one off. We're not going to put this on our watch list at this point. This AUGX is a stock that we are pretty unfamiliar with. I don't think that we've really ever traded the stock in the past up until today. So for any of these like small cap, like low float, low volume stocks, you can't really trust them as far as you could throw them. So that's where you got to say, hey, if this could build up and break above resistance, then there's a chance. So it popped resistance here, rebroke resistance, I should say, at the VWAP, but unfortunately it failed to break the next one ahead, roughly around 325. I was really looking to see 350 again, maybe 340-ish otherwise, but obviously pulled back below the VWAP. It took me out with an 8-cent profit on the second half of my position. I got out on the first half early, like kind of I think on this instance, as it pulled up to the VWAP just to take half out at 313. But, heading into the afternoon now, this is not the type of shake that you want to have. So I'm going to move away from this trade. I have no business with this stock anymore. Maybe I'll come back to it. If it looks really good, then I'll think otherwise, but I'm not expecting that. So we'll write it off for right now. Well, let's go from top to bottom here. Otherwise, with the market pulling back itself, you might have a couple of good shorts to work with heading into the close. Obviously, we'll talk about AI. That has been an unbelievable drop after the first run-up it had today. But hey, to begin, United Insurance Holdings, UIHC, this has had a wacky last few days, really back from Tuesday of this week, had a big gap down and got clobbered as soon as the market opened up. Well, ended up bouncing a little bit yesterday. We were not expecting much at the time, and we were not expecting much here today, really. But we'll take this run. Ended up making pretty much a full recovery from Tuesday's market open, and now has a potential gap to try and fill. Obviously, there's a lot of historical data to work with in between the gap because it was running up from late Feb, early March here. Looks like right around 285-ish, 283-ish, perhaps. Oh, yeah, definitely. 285, definitely going to be a resistance there. So keep that in mind here for the UIHC stock. I'll put this on our main list here to begin, though. Really nice stock in terms of price, spread, liquidity. It has all the makings of a good tradable stock. Just be careful of that historical top, 285 here. All right, we keep it going. CNSP stock from like really the end of last week exploded 60 cents all the way up to 450, 440-ish, and tried pumping up once more this morning. Ended up doing it early in pre-market, ran back up again after the open. So we took full advantage on this trade, myself alongside a bunch of our students early after the market opened up. I can't stress this point enough, folks, but this is why you stick with the list. A 30-plus year pro and Fausto Pugliese is scanning the stock market for us to try and trade the market open. Why would we look elsewhere at first? So, between CFRX, actually, the CNSP, the UIHC, like those were some of the best moves that we've caught on the day. And then after the first, 15, 20 minutes, then you dip outside the wheel box there a bit and see what else is out there. But yeah, CNSP now making the same type of drop off here as like the other one, the AUGX. So Doesn't look too good right now. And for as much as it pumped up the last week or so, you got to expect for this to pull back at some point. It did that really from the beginning of this week, but again, I don't really trust it too much, especially after this last shakeout. SATX, though, still showing a little strength. How about that? Nice move. Ended up breaking over $1 early after the market opened this morning. Normally these cheapies below $1, you can't really trade them too often. But nice strength here taking us into the afternoon meeting right now for this SATX. Looks like it tested historical levels earlier, right around 120, right around 144, that is. I was going to say 143, 144, back from late Feb, early March, topped off there today, high of the day. So no surprise there, right? Just held so well here, ended up tipping off right at that price and pulling back. But that's not to say it can't break higher later on, and it's making a pretty healthy move back up right now. So yeah, I'm going to put this back on our list here, SATX. Got cheapies here below $1. Not going to focus on those. TNYA, a stock we're not really too familiar with either. Kind of thin liquidity out there on the book. Had a nice pump yesterday off of seemingly low volume, and today nice run right now at the highs. But I like the others so far. I'll put this on our side list here for right now. I'll come back to it at the end though. You got Bullfrog, BFRG, now a stock that is also pretty illiquid, spread pretty bad, and all of that, or spread will be bad over time. It's going to fluctuate. But this stock we are pretty familiar with. We've traded this stock over the last 2 weeks, so we know how this stock trades. With that said, look out for a big crazy shake coming up because it popped 8 and pulled back. Don't be surprised if this comes back down pretty quick before it potentially moves back up again. But yeah, looking at the chart, we're familiar with the stock at least. Hey, it's not a level 1 or level 2 stock in how we categorize it, but for any of our level 3, I'd probably say even level 4 traders and up, 4 or 5, look to follow this one if anything. All right, we'll keep it going here. I got to kind of weed out all these cheapy stocks here. I got like CNMD, ASTI, and jump over those. XPO, not really moving too well there. Now here's the CFRX trade. So one from pre-market. It doesn't look good now, of course, but hey, it's not on the afternoon list. It's on the morning list. So with that, in pre-market, it was moving up pretty nicely into the 9 o'clock move with Fausto in the morning meeting there. It was dropping off a little bit heading into the open, so that was a bit of a red flag. But thankfully, within the first 5 minutes of the opening bell, ended up reversing, pushing back up. Made a nice run for us to capitalize on there, right? So topped off just over 250, and then from the one thing I will say here is that the volume died off pretty early on this, or rather, I should say, the stock peaked and then died off rather fast. So ended up just pulling back just shortly prior to 9:45 even. So if you're playing it by the cyber clock, hey, I mean, if it's going to top off that early and make lower highs, perhaps the trend throughout the whole day, if not the majority of the day from that point, would be down. So finally, it's bottoming out here, but we have no business with this trade anymore, so scrap it. All right. Going down the rest of the gainers side here, Presto Priest ended up making a little push earlier today, and I called it out just before, just saying I was trying to go back up, but hasn't gone anywhere really since, so not too interested in this just yet. Veru, VERU. I mean, hey, given how much the stock got clobbered the last, I mean, obviously the last 6 months or so, but even the last month and a half, 2 months from the beginning of this year, really dropped off. So, perhaps look for a short squeeze on this over time. It tried it earlier this morning, but now, as you could see, making a bit of a lower high, rounding off here around 117, 118. Maybe keep it in mind for tomorrow to wrap up the week, but I'll pass on it here. All right. Speaking of AI stocks, we had Bullfrog on our watch list, so why not look at maybe a couple others like GFAI? It's not looking good at all right now, but I just wanted to see. Now, obviously, we'll show AI in just a moment, AI ticker, but we'll look at the others first, actually, as we go through them. So SAI, not looking good right now. Obviously, the rest are going to follow AI. This one, though, we did pretty well on at the open. BBAI popped it first. It re-broke resistance. I took this trade off 327. Very well timed, at least at the point, because, well, look at what we got here. I mean, geez, who would have thought today at 9:30 in the morning when this was popping and moving up pretty nicely at first, albeit it was only up 1 to 2%, but still, it was a great sideless stock and it was moving up well. Students like Lewis inside our chat board, were making money on this trade at first. Really good push. And hey, according to Cyberclock rules, right around that 10:15, 10:30-ish area, well, it did top off, right? Pulled back, reversed. All right, all good. But geez, you would have expected a higher low. You would have expected support to build. You would have expected, if anything, at worst case scenario, these tops here that it broke out of initially, 265, 266, for that to be support. The rug completely got pulled on this trade. This was like a Christmas tree heading into the late morning, and then it just kept dropping. It just kept pulling back and back. So don't get caught catching the falling knife, folks. Right now, it's teetering around 21. Do not force it. So right now, we're going to focus on trend more than anything, more so than now at this time of the day anyway. Stocks at the highs, we look for continuation up. Stocks at the lows, we look for continuation down. So I would not look for too much upward momentum on AI. All right. So with that, let's just finish up the gainer side here. I kind of went off on a tangent since I saw GFAI, wanted to rip the AI stocks all together. Hey, if anything, I'll put AI actually on our list as a short. It's hard to borrow my platform, but if you can get the shares to short this AI, then that's the move. So for anyone that can do that, actually, I'll put AI specifically on our list for a short. All right, whole market's plunging, folks. So, again, just because stock is at potential support doesn't mean it's going to bounce. Just look at what the stock market's doing right now. It's a complete free-for-all, free fall, which leads to a free-for-all. How about that? Now, let's go across the loser side before my tongue gets tied any further. Got Bed Bath Beyond, BBBY. I'm only showing this because we did well on it yesterday, but obviously that was a short squeeze. Comes right back down, dropping off with said market here. TSLL, right, Tesla ETF. So may as well jump to TSLA right now, dropping off too. I'll put this on our list for anyone buying puts just as a short opportunity. And then otherwise TSLL, same to be said there, just on the way down. AT&T took a huge hit early this morning. It was on my side list early in the pre-market, but I didn't really put much focus on this trade after the opening bell. Hey, we can only catch so much, right? It was a really good morning for myself, just across the board on the CNSP, CFRX, BBAI, even that little one. But I missed out on the short. Really good trade on AT&T. Now it's at the lows right now, so I'm going to put it on our watch list as a short. But it looks really flat. So let's see if this could snap lower off of 1765. Then we'll see if it could provide better continuation. Looks like the low here was 1783, close 1786. I would say 83 to 86-ish here could be a bit of a historical, kind of right where that line is. I know it's pretty far away from it right now, and it branched off from it earlier. So I wouldn't necessarily want this to move back up here, but it broke below this historical level, so to say, dip point back from the end of last year. So it's still at the lows right now. That's why I'm going to call for the short right now, continuation on T. Obviously, Tesla, we talked about already. All right, so folks, suddenly we're going to find a lot of good shorts with the market tanking right now. So if there's anything else looking good, on the way up, but certainly on the way down as well, type it in the chat board here. Inside the trading room from Warren says, T is one of my dividend stocks. I hope they don't cut us again. Well, I'm not too familiar with that, at least as far as their dividend cuts or whatnot. But just the more this drops, at least, you're going to expect to find the next historical support. And that was just more of a dip point, that 1785, 84 here, and it's below it now. So, I would just look for 1750 as your next major level, likely to be a big iceberg on the bid there coming up. All right. I don't think I have anything else otherwise, folks. Let me just check Benzinga Pro here quickly if I could. I'll pop it up for all of us here live. So not much really moving across the board right now. Just straightforward. UIHC, it's on our list already. BXRX, maybe. We'll take a look at BXRX, I reckon. All right, you tell me, folks. Wendy, Warren, Leda, Ravina, and all of us here inside the chat board right now. Does this look like a good stock? Looking at the chart. Kind of spotty, right? And with that, garbage. Not worth our time right now, that folks. If this is what Benzinga's pumping out to me, I think that we're at the bottom of the barrel here in terms of the scanning. Ron says TSLL moves like a snail. Well, right now it could be just given the market, but I mean, if we happen to see a break of support on Tesla, then it's going to go with it, of course. I mean, Tesla's flat as could be too. So, just they just go hand in hand. Perhaps wait till 315, 330, as we always say. Just that's the better time to follow the market. All right, let me just check the side list here. Lastly, folks, Coinbase, you'd expect for that to drop off pretty nicely. Bitcoin taking a bit of a drop today too. And with that, really not much traction on coins, so I'm going to pass on it. GM, I mean, auto stock, it's down 4+%. Better side list stock. This actually looks pretty decent. Check out like the airlines, the cruise lines, the et ceteras, all of that other stuff out there from the pandemic. Just like the gaming stocks, casino stocks, you name them. Check out my lovely NIO, dropped off earlier. This was down big today, but pretty flat, pretty slow here for the meantime. LI, is at the lows. I feel like this could be more bang for the buck, a little bit better in terms of drop and trend. You'd want to see this break lower below 2270 there, if anything. Big volume filled off the lows there pretty much. I'll slip this one on there, if anything. LI. Get LI on there. Not number one, but kind of near the lows. Hopeful to see continuation. Should it break lower from 2270? All right, folks, we're going to wrap up for right now. I don't know why my cursor is glitching out on the screen there. You can see. All right, so for all of us here live right now, Wendy, Leda, Ravina, Ron, Sam, Michael, Ann, Phil, and Bobby, and all of us here live. Rich will be on the mic taking you into the close from 3 o'clock onward. For all of us on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. Hey, I appreciate you folks sticking with us each and every day, each and every afternoon. A couple of options, folks. If you're interested in joining our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there to get yourself started on a small week-long trial. If not, though, hey, if you have any questions before joining, any trades or questions that you'd like to go over with us beforehand, feel free to shoot me a quick email, josh@c2trading.com. I think there was only one stock I'd said I'd come back to. And let me go back to that one, actually. Show it the respect there. TNYA. It's at the highs, right? It's at the highs. So it's hard for me to ignore putting this on our watch list. But the spread's big. The liquidity is kind of thin on this. So that's where you got to be careful. I'll slip this one on our main list here to wrap up. All right, folks. But otherwise, hey, I'll be on a coaching call with one of our students here. If there's anything that we see as a good opportunity on our list mainly here, we'll look to call it out. I'll tell you if we jump in anything fun and see where it goes. Lastly here, Lee saying PTPI from earlier at support. Been waiting a long time. It seems like if you're waiting for a bounce on PTPI, Lee, don't get stuck being in love with one stock. I mean, this had a nice pop for us earlier. I ended up taking half profits pretty nicely on the pop that this had in the morning, but then I wasn't expecting what happened, and then I got stopped out, break even on the second half of my position. Thankfully, break even or even small profit at best, but this thing collapsed after. Lee says short, not support. Oh, my apologies there, Lee. So a little tip there. SS means short sale. S means support inside the chat board there. There we go. So Lee means a short. Still, either way, I'm going to pass on putting this on our main list, Lee. If you are short on it now, and if you're making money, I'm rooting you on. If you are short and you're expecting the drop, I'll also be rooting for that. But it's just got such thin volume out right now that I don't feel like it's a great opportunity either direction just yet. But hey, if it drops, I hope that you do really well on it. Always rooting us on here. Otherwise, I would start and stick with this watch list at least here to begin. Again, we just scanned the stock market for the last 19 minutes and 40 or so seconds here. So I would start and stick with what we have to begin, folks. All right. But again, I'll be back on, or Rich will be back on, like I said, at 3 o'clock. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30. I'll talk to you soon, folks. Take care.